Welcome to Z Classroom. When you first launch your copy of ZBrush, you'll no doubt immediately notice the unique user interface. If you're new to 3D computer graphics, you're probably wondering what all the buttons and menus do. Well, this video will give you some idea as to what you're looking at when you start up your copy of ZBrush. If you're already versed in other software packages, you're about to step into an intuitive sculpting environment designed to assist you in staying creative and limiting your technical constraints as an artist. The first thing you'll probably ask yourself is, how do I sculpt? Or, if you've accidentally dragged across the canvas, you'll notice some reddish colored squares. If you've drawn out these squares, or any other tool, and want to clear the canvas, the first thing to do is click Ctrl-N. You'll notice immediately when you start up ZBrush, a window resides along the top of your canvas. This is referred to as Lightbox. We'll cover that in more detail inside our UI tutorial, but for now, it's important to briefly note that inside Lightbox, a great deal of flexibility and additional tools, brushes, and other valuable resources are waiting for you to expand your creative potential. Let's go ahead and hide the Lightbox menu. To hide the Lightbox menu, click on Hide here on the top right corner of the window. You can also hide and recall Lightbox by using the comma shortcut key. Let's try it. There. We've opened and closed the Lightbox sub-menu. For now, let's keep it open while we explore another concept. You'll need something to sculpt on. If we look here inside the Lightbox window, we're presented with a collection of tools and projects. Select a sphere tool. Now would be a good time to mention that you can also load a tool from the tool palette at the right of the ZBrush canvas. To do this, simply click on Load Tool. This will take you to a directory located on your hard drive with all the tools you'll need to get started. Once you have saved a tool, a concept we'll cover here in Z Classroom with its own video, you'll be able to access them as well as using the Load Tool function. Now, something very important to cover is the idea of the Edit button, located here at the top left of your canvas. Once you select the tool you'll be working with, you'll notice that an icon box becomes visible here to the right of the canvas inside the tool menu. Your canvas is still blank at this point. Let's introduce the concept of drawing out your model and entering edit mode. Go ahead and click and drag your stylus on your canvas. What you're looking at is the tool you selected from the tool menu or other folders on your hard drive. Click and drag on the canvas again. Another instance of the same model will appear on the canvas at the same time as the first one. You're probably wondering why this is the case. ZBrush has strong roots in the 2.5D realm and actually started out as a 2.5D application. A lot has changed over the years, but this concept remains at the core of the design capabilities inherent to ZBrush. You can find more information and dedicated resources covering 2.5D concepts here inside Z Classroom. Let's get back to the issue at hand. You now have multiple instances of the same model on your canvas. Clicking and dragging is only producing a myriad of instances, creating what is starting to look like a Dali painting. Although this is interesting, it's not what we're after right now. This is a very valuable lesson to take with us, however, and should be remembered. To stop the continual repetition of instances on your canvas, you'll have to leave 2.5D mode. To do this, we're going to click on the Edit button located here. You could also use the shortcut T key. Click on the Edit button. There. Now we have multiple instances of our model and one that is editable. The thing is, we need to clear up space for sculpting on our model. Remember, we covered clearing the canvas a few moments ago using Ctrl-N. This will remove anything you've drawn out onto your canvas. Go ahead and draw out a fresh instance of your model. Once you do so, you can either click on the Edit button or use the hotkey T. Hotkeys are a great way to move swiftly through the ZBrush interface. Take time to learn them, and you can wow your friends. So, the Edit button has been clicked, and we now have one model in our canvas ready for sculpting. By default, the brush selected is the standard brush. We won't go into detail here about the various brushes and settings associated with those brushes, but be sure to check out videos on that very topic inside Z Classroom. Your default brush is going to let you sculpt in an additive or subtractive fashion. Think of this concept as adding clay to your model or taking it away, just like when you work with the real thing. In order to add clay, just drag on the surface of your model using your stylus. You may decide that you want to work in a subtractive fashion. To do this, click on the Z Sub button here at the top of your canvas. Notice how next to the Z Sub button, we have the Z Add button. You can switch between the two to suit your design needs. You could also use the shortcut key for Z Sub by holding Alt. As you're sculpting with your standard brush, you may want to have a symmetrical stroke applied to the model. This will allow you to draw on both sides of the model at the same time. It's really a handy tool and will no doubt save you a lot of time. To activate symmetry mode, you can click the drop-down menu labeled Transform or navigate to the tab Activate Symmetry. To turn symmetry on and off, you could also use the hotkey X. This will give you the flexibility of sculpting on both sides of the model at the same time. It's a real time saver and makes for quick sculpting. You can even smooth out areas of your model by using the Shift key. Hold the Shift key and drag across your model. Notice the surface is smoothed out very quickly. You can modulate this by reducing the Z intensity. Z intensity lets you control how quickly and how much digital clay is applied and removed from your model. It works when adding clay and subtracting. Z intensity is really important when considering the visual representation of your strokes across your model. You may want to undo a stroke. To do this, click Ctrl-Z. This will let you step back. You can click Ctrl-Z a total of 10,000 times inside the latest version of ZBrush. Since clicking Ctrl-Z 10,000 times may cause you some discomfort, you can also scrub through your undo history by clicking and dragging through this virtual timeline here at the top of your canvas, marked by these little gray boxes. These represent save points at which ZBrush has created a step for you to backtrack on. Needless to say, this can be a real big bonus if you change your mind about the direction of a particular design. Another important area to examine revolves around the idea of framing your model on the screen. Let's say you've moved the model off the screen and can't see it, or can only partially view it. An easy fix is to use the Frame button here to the right of the canvas, or simply click the F key. You'll notice the model jumps back to the center of the screen. It may not be oriented facing forward depending on how you moved it around prior to using Frame or the F key. This leads us into something very important that we haven't covered yet. Moving around the model and moving the model, as well as scaling and zooming. If you want to rotate your model to observe it from various angles, place your stylus down and start to drag around on an open area of your canvas. Notice, you can turn the model in 360 degrees on the three axes. You can also click on Rotate here to the right of the canvas. By holding the Shift key and clicking and dragging your stylus in a given direction, you can easily snap your model to a given view. These views include front, left, right, back, top, and bottom. Remember, this may take some practice. You'll be whizzing through these movements in no time. The view will be determined by your last sculpting gesture. This is derived from the local axis button remaining active. You can click this off to eliminate that sort of alignment. If you're working on a specific area and trying to derive some details in that area, Having local on may work to your advantage. By turning it off, you'll be able to rotate away from the area you've most recently affected. Now, let's assume you wanted to zoom into a specific area for detailing or defining form. You could either use the scale function to the right, or click Alt and click and drag forward or back with your stylus on an open area of your canvas immediately after clicking Alt. Practice this if you're new and realize that after a few times it will most certainly become second nature. This will allow you to quickly zoom into areas with ease. The last navigation option we'll cover here is the Move function. By clicking on the Move box here to the right of the canvas, you can move the model up, down, and side to side. You could also hold Alt and drag across your canvas. Let's try. There. By holding the Alt key and dragging across the open area of your canvas, you can move the model up, down, and side to side. This concludes our very basic introduction to what you can expect at startup inside ZBrush. We'll dive into many of the buttons and settings you may have wondered about inside this video in a specific Z Classroom tutorial devoted to the user interface, or UI. Thanks for watching Z Classroom, and remember to sculpt freely. See you next time.